No, definitely. I think they're going to get after it, and I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a long affair right here.
Yeah, Lesnar and Fedor basically.
No, definitely.
It's always a fun thing to see the heavyweights that weigh in because they don't have to struggle for the most part.
Right.
These guys were loose yesterday at the weigh-ins. Brett Campbell was cracking jokes. When I asked him what we could expect to see from him when he comes into the cage, he told me sex appeal with a wink. So, that's always a good thing when you have a guy that's feeling loose. Nerman on the other side said, "Tune in, I'm dangerous."
Yeah. I can attest to that. He's definitely dangerous. And Nerman trains with guys like Dustin Jacoby, Anthony Smith, myself. He's training with killers every day. He's used to that feeling, that pressure of guys that can put him in danger. And I don't think there's many guys that maybe can put Brent Campbell in danger. I know Nerman can.
Certainly. Hey, we
and
get to
Nerman
see
can
right
get
now.
put in danger by Brent as well. This is going to be a really tightly contested fight, and I'm really excited for it.
Definitely. Referee Joel Ojeda is about to get the action underway. This is the second fight of our main card. This is preliminary action, 3 rounds by 3 minutes of heavyweights. They meet right there in the middle in a touch of hands. A couple of kicks from Brent Campbell to start the fight. A jab from Nerman Kozic and a low kick.
Brent looks like he's trying to keep his distance. And Nerman's trying to find that measure, put him on the back foot.
Both of these guys are whipping their leg kicks right now. Man, those are tree trunks whipping at each other.
Yeah, those are flyweights. They're actually hitting each other with flyweights, right?
Literally. And folks, by that, those are 125-pound legs, essentially.
Brent's doing a good job of keeping his distance. Nerman's going to need to move his head and find a way to close that distance and get his hands going.
I really hope that the walls of this cage are strong, Cody, because if these two big boys come flying at us,
I'll protect you, buddy.
I appreciate it. I might have to pull a Brandon Fitzgerald and hop underneath the table. No, I'm just joking. I would never do that.
Nerman's doing a good job of keeping him on the back foot. He needs to pick up his volume a little bit. I know it's tough with guys that are this big, and there's always so much danger.
I will say, though, that Brent Campbell is doing a pretty good job overall of checking those lead leg kicks.
Yeah, at least getting his leg out the way. He's not taking the full damage of those kicks.
Oh, that one hurt him. That one hurt him. There's a little bit of a sting on that one. We saw him step gingerly. Sometimes they catch that peroneal nerve, and as we saw it in multiple fights through the UFC to Bellator, Michael Chandler was one guy who suffered it from Brent Primus. Jimmy Crute to Anthony Lionheart-Smith, one of Nerve's training partners. That peroneal nerve gives you basically drop foot. Maybe it may not sting all that much, but how many more can you take right there?
I'd like to see Nerve throw his hands before his kicks. He's throwing these naked kicks. I would like to see him get his hands going a little bit, give Brent something to worry about up top, and then rip those leg kicks. Brent's getting his leg out of the way because he's just throwing these naked kicks.
And now, Brent Campbell starting to walk Nerman down a little bit. And with the big overhand right there. Nerman is back up to his feet, though. That was close to a punch to the back of the head. Brent Campbell is starting to sprint toward the finish. We have Miguel Ojeda on top of the action right here. That looked potentially to be a shot to the back of the head, but again, the angle is tough. Nerman is working his way back up. He's got to figure out a way to weather this adversity. And he shoots it for the takedown. That's a smart veteran move.
Right, like I said, Nerman's going to do a good job of keeping his composure here. I'm very impressed by that. He clinches. He's going to regain his senses a little bit. He's winning the head position here, and that's what he wants to do. He's got that arm trapped.
Now, for the remainder of this first round, don't be surprised if we see Nerman just try to regain his bearings, because he did take a couple of hard shots, and he's not in a good position right now. As the scarfold is potentially, that position is being worked by Brent Campbell. Look at his stuffy arm.
Nerman's going to need to work his frames here and try to make space. He's looking for this,
short time slacker right now. He's looking for, and that's a tough angle right there. But it looks like Nerman Kozic will last the first round.
Exciting first round. We knew it was going to be a tight first round. Both these guys are big. They can do damage. If I'm in Nerman's corner, I'm telling him to go back to that kick and get my feints going with my hands, right? You see this ebb and flow. When Nerman's on his back foot, Brent starts to have a lot of success. When Nerman can put Brent on his back foot, that's when Nerman starts to find his success. So whoever's winning that cage control seems to be the guy that's going to be more successful in the round.
Very good point, Cody. You know, when each guy was walking forward, they found those money punches.
You see Nerman kind of protesting to the ref here about back of the head shots. I thought they looked a little questionable, you know, but once again, that's not on Brent, right? That's on the ref to call those things.
Exactly, and to be fair, it's also on Nerman to not get too caught up in that.
Right.
That's out of his control. You can only
control
what you can control.
Absolutely.
It's like Jordan Titoni is getting Nerman ready to go for this second round.
That first round, both guys kind of experienced the first adversity in their careers. You know, they've been steamrolling guys, and they both got put in positions in that fight that they have not been in their careers yet. It would be interesting to see how they bounce back from that.
Certainly. Both guys presented adversity to each other. It would be interesting to hear in the corner of Brent Campbell to see what Ben Restrich had to add for him.
Big swing and a miss by Nerman. He needs to get back within himself and throw those straight punches. Brent's doing a good job keeping his hands high.
Now Campbell is starting to work his feints. He's changing levels a little bit here. I would like to see more volume period from Nerman, just to be able to make him gain a little bit more respect. And a big overhand right from Nerman.
On the cage here, he needs to win head position. He needs to jack him up and win the head position here. Stuff the head is what he needs to do. He's trying to work on this single. That's a big leg to pull up. You know, this is a hard position for heavyweights to be. Nerman needs to crank down on that whizzer and work the head down to the ground.
And cornerman for Nerman, Kozic, Coach Jordan Titoni screaming at him to stuff the head down.
This is a tiring position for a heavyweight to be. You know, he's making him carry him. It's that idea of cooking him that we always say. He's trying to cook him right here. Nerms, and this is the thing about big athletic heavyweights, right? That was a tough position.
Not to cut you off there, we just have to address these potential illegal strikes sometimes as they come along. And again, in amateur fights, sometimes an elbow sneaks through. It just happens.
I like to see Nerm, instead of throwing these big looping punches, I would like to see him get back to his leg kicks, get back to his volume, his strikes. You know, he's throwing these big looping things, and Brent's taking advantage and able to duck underneath, lower his level, and get these body locks.
Certainly. You know, and he has to do something right now at this point to
break
the rhythm.
To the body.
Good.
That hurt Brent. He needs to go back to the body now. He needs to go back to the body. He's hurt.
Now, this is where you mentioned earlier in one of our prior heavyweight bouts, cardio may come into play because these guys, they've been throwing hard and heavy right away, and a massive overhand right from Nerman Kozic right there. These boys are trading and exchanging. They're in the pocket. They are banging. This is everything that we cracked it up to be, Cody.
Yeah, these guys are getting in the pocket, and they're exchanging. You know, it would be interesting to see here. Brent's on the back foot. We've been noticing guys on the back foot are struggling tonight. Tries to take the space. Nerm needs to work him to the cage and keep him on the cage.
Now, Cody, we've seen Brent Campbell duck in for that takedown naked a couple of times. Obviously, a couple of them were counters to the overhand strikes that Nerman was throwing. But would you like to see from Nerman maybe an uppercut?
These guys are in the pocket. They're throwing. Brent's hurt.
And Nerman Kozic is starting to tee off. But Brent Campbell with the veteran move this time and him shooting in for the takedown.
Both these guys are exhibiting a lot of cage savvy.
And Nerman's setting up on a guillotine. This could be tight. And Brent Campbell gets up right away.
It's another tight round. You know, these guys are laying it all on the line. This is what you want to see from two lightly experienced amateurs. You know, like I said, they're going through the first adversity of their careers. You know, they both steamrolled their opponents up to this point, and now they're kind of being met with some force. You know, they're being met with that opposition that they haven't necessarily had. It'd be interesting to see who can pull out in this third round, because right now it's looking 1-1.
One might say that they're climbing up Grit Mountain.
Up Grit Mountain, that's right. We always talk about Grit Mountain. You want to be the king of Grit Mountain at the end of the day.
We could very well be seeing a 1-1 fight right now, Cody.
I think we are.
It's going to come down to who wants it more in this final 3 minutes of this frame.
Absolutely. Both these guys are exhausted. They're breathing heavy. Blood coming out of the nose of Brent. Nerman's taking big breaths out of his mouth.
And again, interesting tactics as far as the corner work goes. Nerman was taking a seat. Obviously, you mentioned the heavy breaths. Whereas Campbell, who was wobbled a couple of times and has taken some significant leg kicks through the fight, he was hunched over and was not on a stool. Interesting.
You see a little less snap on those kicks. Nerman needs to set those kicks up with his hands. You don't want to be throwing naked kicks with someone as big as Brent.
Certainly. Now, you do have Nerman Kozic being the aggressor, holding the center of the cage right now.
He's going back to the well on that leg kick. You're starting to see welt form on Brent's leg.
Now, right here, it's going to be interesting to see if Campbell decides to get on his bike and circle out, or if he goes straight back. If he goes straight back, he might be in trouble.
Yeah, that's kind of what we've been seeing. You know, the guy on the back foot is losing this fight. And Nerman's doing a good job of keeping him there, keeping him in that triangle and funneling him to his strikes.
What can Nerman do right here to set up his attack?
He needs to get his feints going. You know, he's just going 0 to 100. Sometimes as a defensive fighter, it's easy to see that coming. You see that big change in motion, right? He needs to get his feints going, be moving at like a 50, get his rock going. Here he goes, he's getting his movement a little bit. And then as his feints go, to open up his shots.
Conversely, what does Brent Campbell need to do?
He needs to move his feet. He's not moving his feet. He's standing right in front of him, staring in the mirror. He's looking for that takedown. Brent's looking for that takedown to kind of secure the win for him. I think it's going to be difficult. Nerman's shown that he's going to be able to stop that. And he's winning the position here. He needs to roll his head and win the head position. He doesn't want to be ear to ear right here.
And as we work toward the midway point of this third and final frame, Nerman has to be close right here that he does not accidentally grab the cage.
I was just thinking the exact same thing. He needs to keep his hands away from the cage. You know, we've seen that be a deciding factor in a few fights tonight. Referee's looking on close. I think he might separate this. Big swing and a miss. You know, that's taxing.
He did narrowly clip him with that left hook, though. He looks like he caught the tip of the nose, and we're starting to see a lot of blood pouring out of Brent Campbell.
He needs to get his jab going here. He's having success with that jab. He needs to back him up with the jab and keep working the legs.
Brent Campbell lands the right hand there. And then he secures a takedown.
This crowd is going nuts. This fight is awesome.
This is everything that it was cracked up to be, folks. What a war.
This is what it's going to come down to, is this last minute. You know, these guys need to get moving and decide who wants to win. These guys got to go after it and get the W.
And it's certainly a question of who wants it more now at this point. What does Nerman need to do to break himself away, Cody?
He needs to work that arm to get the underhook here and work his back off the cage. He's sitting in a wizard position. He needs to work for the head control and circle off it and finish this fight in a dominant position.
If Brent Campbell sits in this position and rides it out for the remainder of the fight, does he pull this off?
I don't know. You have Nerman winning the beginning of the fight, beginning of this round. Yeah, Brent may be pulling away at the end. It's going to be a close fight, man. I would not want to be the judge in this one.
It's going to come down to this third round right here, folks. And both of these guys left it all on the cage, Cody.
All on the cage and all on our papers.
Yep, absolutely. I cannot wait to have this, documented evidence of the blood splatter.
I knew I shouldn't have worn white tonight.
Hey, sometimes you gotta learn with the job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, certainly. I'll tell you this, folks. I would not want to be one of the judges at cage side right now. They had their hands full trying to score that contest. From an analysis standpoint, I believe that Nerman Kozic had the majority control of the third round. However, you do have to factor in that damaging blow and the takedown toward the end of the round.
Absolutely. And, you know, the way they hand out 10-8s now, you don't know in that first round what the judges would do. I don't think it's a 10-8. I would not score that at 10-8, but I've seen some crazy scores lately.
Certainly, those 10-8s have become more and more common out there. I personally do not agree with them. I think that a 10-8, you should be basically almost done.
The fight could have been called.
Correct.
In my opinion.
Both of these guys hurt each other throughout the fight. So it's going to be interesting just to interpret how the judges saw it. And here we come, the moment that we've all been waiting for.
I would guess a split decision is coming your way.
And 29-28 is the official decision, unanimous decision for Norman Kozic.
You see Coach Jordan Tony picking up Nerman. Nerman's about 2 of Coach Jordan, so you know that was a pretty impressive feat. Got to shout out Coach JT there.
Oh, certainly. Now, don't get it twisted. He may be a smaller man in stature, but the fire inside of Jordan Tony is heavyweight fire.
This is one of the fights I really wanted to see. Congratulations on hard-fought bout. These are some people who like to pick it. I want to thank all the fans that came out tonight. Thank you guys for supporting. This event wouldn't be possible without you guys. So thank you for coming out. Thank you so much for the support. We can't wait to see you again. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, Mr. Norman Kozic.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Norman Kozic right there. He threw a shout out to all the fans in attendance. Thank you all who are tuning in on the live stream. Just as Norman said, if there is none of you folks, there is none of this that is able to go on.